Hi everyone, this is Mary Reed. This morning, for some reason, I woke up very much into something that wanted to be shared on the relationship between our thoughts and war and conflict. It's not uncommon for people like me in my line of work to get asked a question: how does meditation or going inward, doing all our healing, how does this awakening journey actually affect war, and how can it make a difference in conflict? People often bring up refugees and these kinds of things with an implication of, shouldn't we be doing more direct action or doing more, basically. So I want to talk about how our work, meditation, going inward, the things that we do in our awakening journey, how we actually contribute to the end of the origins of war. I often talk about understanding what our contribution is to humanity. Whatever we're thinking, whatever we're saying, whatever we're doing, that is our contribution in any given moment. And one of the most blind things that we have in terms of our contribution is our thoughts. We don't really think about what's the impact of our thoughts. Now, often our thoughts are about ourselves or sort of quietly thinking about others. We're judging ourselves or we're judging others. That's very, very, very common. But what we don't understand is that that is a form of violence. It's a form of wounding. It's a form of bullying. I can tell you how I know this from an experience, a metaphysical experience that I had, I don't know, many years ago. And I was in a meditation, and the meditation was on forgiveness. And so in this experience, there was this stream of beads, like mala beads, that look like this, like rosary beads, that came up, but every single bead was a different person that I had hurt or they had hurt me. And somehow resolution hadn't happened between us. Now, I'm sure that you've heard in near-death experiences, when you have a life review, you experience what somebody else experienced because of your actions. So you see anything that happened any moment, like 360 degrees, your part, their reactions, etc. And frankly, that's really, really painful. And that's what happened in this experience. Every person that was coming through, I saw it from my perspective and I saw it from theirs. But what I didn't know until then was the impact of our thoughts on others. So we think that as we're sitting here judging someone or having a bad thought about them, they'll never know. And that's actually not true. There is an aspect of others that can sense or feel or experience what we're thinking, because in truth, we're all in oneness. And so there is a communication or a conveyance going on beyond our conscious awareness. So in this experience with the mala beads, I'll give you an example. I was in my high-rise office in Roslyn, Virginia, and I was in a break room, and somebody came in and got some water from the water fountain. And I had a negative thought about this woman. And in that moment, I don't think anything of it. I just had this, default autopilot negative thought about this woman. But then I experienced how an aspect of her knew everything that I thought, everything that I felt, and felt the violence of that, felt violated, felt hurt. I had no idea in that moment about the wounding that I caused, because I didn't even think about it. It's out of sight, out of mind, literally. But it was very clear, and I've had many, many other situations like that since, where it's very clear that there is a two-way communication going on in these experiences. The same thing happens when we have a negative thought about ourselves. Everything in us can hear it. So when we call ourselves stupid or think that we're not good enough or think that we're not worthy, etc., all we're doing is self-wounding. There's a perpetuation of violence going on in us that we think is nothing. We think it's harmless. It's not. It's a mentality of battle. It's a mentality of war. It's a mentality of conflict. It is not a mentality of love. It's not a mentality of peace. So when we're asked the questions of how is it that going inside has any effect whatsoever on peace, we have to realize, what is our contribution? When we go in and we have this intention to heal the ways that our thinking happens, that affects what we do, that affects our choices, it affects how we react to others, but it ends the cycle of perpetuating violence, perpetuating conflict, perpetuating that mindset. So we ourselves become a source of ending war, ending conflict. That becomes our contribution to the collective. So as we heal these thoughts, we realize that the old way of thinking was, I think as pain thinks, or I speak as pain speaks, or I hear as pain hears. And as we heal these things, it becomes, I think as love thinks. I hear as love hears. I speak as love speaks. In other words, I think in peace. I speak in peace. I hear in peace. I act in peace. So, if we're called to do something more, if we're called to act, we will act. But many of us now are called to address war or conflict at its origin point, to address the source of conflict, the source of war. And we do that by accessing our thoughts from the source of love. I hope this is helpful.